In these sections, we are going to work on the topic of the couples you choose. Which are those real people with whom you relate and who at some point become potential romantic relationships? They exist in your own reality. You interact with those people, and at one point, you choose them as partners with whom you want to start a romantic relationship because you think you are choosing them. But what would happen if I told you that there are actually a series of factors that, at an unconscious level, lead you to choose that partner? You would realize that it is not you who has chosen the partners you have been with throughout your life, but that it has been those internal, social, or cultural factors that have influenced your choices, which is what you are going to be doing in these sections, where you are going to learn to recognize the factors that have intervened in your partner choices, and eventually, the idea is that you learn to control them. As you progress through these sections, you will realize that on most occasions, when you have chosen a partner, you have done so because of these choices factors, which, as you can see, have limited your own ability to choose. Therefore, the question arises: is it you who really chooses the partner you want to be with? If the majority of the partners you have been with have caused you more difficulties and unhappiness than satisfaction, we are clearly talking about a case in which you have not chosen your romantic partners, thinking about your own convenience, but rather about the convenience of others. That is why it is so important that you learn to recognize these factors, because if you don't, you will be a slave to your destiny. You will not have the control of your life. An example that I can give you in this regard is that of a person who met her brother's best friend, who became a kind of family friend, and after a year, he began to court her. She entered into that relationship because she believed that by doing so, she was making her entire family happy. But in practice, he was a person she didn't like. She was in that relationship for more than 10 years until she met for the first time a person she really liked, and that was what caused her to come to my office in an advanced state of anxiety and depression. Why do you think she got into a relationship with someone she didn't like? In the first session I had with her, she indicated to me that she believed that she loved her partner, and that's why she felt so much guilt for developing romantic and erotic feelings for another person. As therapy progressed, she told me that her boyfriend had put a lot of pressure on her to be with him, and her family also did the same. And at one point, she convinced herself that she liked her partner and that she apparently loved him. And here comes the question I ask you: do you think that person chose the partner she said she loved, or were her external factors? Most likely, you have already realized what these sections are going to be about, because contrary to what you might believe, your case is not very different from that of this client I had, because it is a phenomenon that happens to all of us. We believe that we choose a partner, but in reality, there are a series of internal and external factors that influence your choice of a partner. When you manage to recognize and control these social and psychic forces, you achieve a greater degree of freedom, because for the first time, you manage to begin to define the true partner you want to be with. Even before you do this process, you will realize that your partner choices were influenced by factors outside of you, which explains why you have suffered so much in this process of looking for the love of your life. That is why it is so important that you learn to recognize the way you choose a partner, because by doing so, you are giving yourself for the first time the opportunity to be the one who chooses and therefore find the true love that you are looking for so much. Given this framework, let me present to you the three main factors that have defined your choice of partner, which we are going to work on in greater depth in the following sections. First of all, we have the couples of the unconscious, which are those forces that operate in your internal world and that lead you to choose a partner because of some trauma that you have suffered in your childhood with a person who has been important to you. To give you a short example, there are people who choose their partner to find a father or mother they did not have in their childhood, or even to punish that father or mother who abandoned them at an important moment in their lives. This force comes in all of us. So, the idea is that here you learn to recognize how it operates in you and eventually control it. The second factor is the expectations that others have of you, which is similar to the case of the client I already told you about. She entered into that relationship not because she liked her potential boyfriend, but because she believed that by doing so, she was precisely satisfying the expectation that her family had regarding her. You will realize that many of your partner choices have been influenced by what others expected of you, but the issue is what happens to your own desires. It is very possible that because of this, you have repressed them, and that in part was precisely what caused you to sometimes choose thinking more about your parents, friends, or neighbors than about what you really wanted in a partner. And finally, there are the traumas of the past. Many of the cases that I have received in my consultation have to do with this topic. The person who divorces and enters a relationship to resolve a conflict that could not be resolved in the previous relationship. The same thing happens in courtships. Many times, people who suffer a relationship breakup enter into a new relationship to get even for all the harm they received from their previous partner. That is why, at an unconscious level, they end up choosing not the person who best suits them, but the one with whom they will be able to satisfy that desire for revenge. As you can see, these factors are what have limited you throughout your years and have prevented you from having clarity regarding the true partner you want by your side, which I am sure, up to this point, you have never achieved. Let's begin to explore these factors that lead you to choose the partners you have had, so that you can achieve the freedom you are looking for. I see you there.